The first punch I ever took broke my nose. I was 14. The awakening exam. Every kid in the district lined up in front of the crystal, pressed their hand to it, and the system told them what they were. Swordsman. Mage. Assassin. Archer. The girl before me got flame sorceress and the whole room clapped. I pressed my hand to the crystal. It hummed for a long time. Too long. The examiner frowned. The screen flickered. And then it printed one word. Shieldbearer. The room went quiet. Then someone laughed. Then everyone laughed. Shieldbearer. The joke class. The class that couldn't kill anything. The class that every tier list put at the absolute bottom because what's the point of blocking if you can't fight back? The examiner looked at me like I was already dead. Next, he said. I didn't move. I asked him to check again. He told me the crystal doesn't lie. Then the kid behind me, a big guy who'd just gotten berserker, shoved me out of the way. His elbow caught my face. My nose cracked. Blood ran down my shirt. Nobody helped me up. The examiner didn't even look. That was the day I learned two things. 1. The world doesn't respect defense. 2. I was going to change that. My name is Rook. And I spent 200 years doing one thing. The one thing nobody believed was worth doing. I trained my defense until nothing in this world could touch me. Let me tell you how it started. The Hero Academy sorted us by class tier. S tier at the top. Swordsmen, Archmages, Dragon Knights. They got the best dorms, the best instructors, the best equipment. A tier got decent rooms. B tier got the leftovers. I got a storage closet on the basement level. Literally. They converted a supply room and put a cot in it. The sign on the door still said maintenance. That was my room for 4 years. My combat instructor was a retired C-rank who'd lost his left hand in a gate. He looked at my class card, sighed, and said, just try not to die. That was my entire training plan. Don't die. So that's what I practiced. Every single day. The other students practiced sword combos, spell rotations, assassination techniques. They got stronger. They got faster. They leveled their attack stats. I stood in a field and let things hit me. That's not a metaphor. My daily training was literally standing still while the academy's training golems punched me in the chest. Over and over. 4 hours. Until I couldn't stand. Then I'd get up and do it again. The system has a stat called endurance. Most heroes ignore it. They dump everything into strength or intelligence or agility. Endurance is the stat that determines how much damage you can absorb before your HP drops. Every class guide in existence says the same thing: endurance is a waste. Kill the enemy before they kill you. I put every single point into endurance. Level 2. Endurance up. Level 3. Endurance up. Level 4. Endurance. Level 5. Endurance. Not once did I touch anything else. My attack stayed at base. My speed stayed at base. My magic stayed at 0. People noticed. Hey Rook, what's your strength at? Base. Your intelligence? Base. So what exactly do you do? I don't die. They thought it was pathetic. They called me the standing dummy. The human punching bag. The wall that bleeds. In sparring class, they'd line up to fight me because it was free points. Hit Rook, he can't hit back. Easy win. And they were right. I couldn't hit back. My attacks did less damage than a sneeze. A literal F-rank monster could outdamage me in raw offense. But something else was happening. Something none of them noticed. I was getting harder to hurt. By year 2, the training golems weren't doing anything. 0 damage. The instructors had to upgrade to B-rank golems. Then A rank. By year 3, they ran out of golems that could scratch me. My endurance was 400. The academy record was 60. The head instructor called me into his office. He was an S-rank named Commander Voss. Tall, silver-haired, the kind of hero kids put on their walls. Your endurance is impressive, he said. But you have no offensive capability. You can't clear gates. You can't kill monsters. You can't contribute to a party in any meaningful way. What exactly is your plan? I told him, I'm going to keep training. He looked at me for a long time. You're wasting your potential. With respect, sir, I don't think you know what my potential is. He expelled me the next day. Not officially. Officially, I voluntarily withdrew. But we both knew. He didn't want a hero who couldn't fight taking up space in his academy. I was an embarrassment. A shieldbearer with no sword, no magic, no party, and no future. I was 17. I had nowhere to go. So I went to the one place nobody else wanted to be. The Forgotten Dungeon. It was a permanent gate on the outskirts of the capital. F rank. So weak that nobody bothered clearing it anymore because the rewards weren't worth the walk. The monsters inside were slimes and goblins. Babies. Tutorial enemies. Perfect for me. I walked in and I let them hit me. Slimes bounced off my chest. Goblins broke their clubs on my arms. I stood there and took it. All day. Every day. 4 months. My endurance climbed. 500, 600. 700. And then the system did something it had never done before. A notification popped up that I'd never seen in any guide, any textbook, any forum. Endurance has exceeded the standard threshold. New skill unlocked, Absolute Barrier. I stared at the blue screen. I tapped it. Absolute Barrier, passive, reduces all incoming physical damage by 90%. This skill cannot be dispelled, suppressed, or bypassed. 90% reduction. Passive. Always on. Couldn't be turned off. The goblins kept hitting me. I literally couldn't feel it anymore. Their attacks registered as 0. Not reduced. 0. I smiled for the first time in 3 years. That was when I knew the system had a secret. A path nobody had ever walked far enough to discover. Because nobody had ever been stupid enough to dump every single point into a stat the whole world called useless. I was that stupid. And I was just getting started. I stayed in the Forgotten Dungeon for 2 more years. Then I moved to a C rank gate. Then B rank. Then A rank. I couldn't kill the monsters. But they couldn't kill me either. I'd walk in, let them exhaust themselves, and wait. Eventually they'd burn through their mana, their stamina, their rage. And then they'd just stop. And I'd outlast them. The system gave me experience for surviving. Not much. But when you survive for 20 hours straight against a room full of A-rank demons, it adds up. Endurance, 1200. New skill unlocked, damage reflection, 30% of all damage absorbed is returned to the attacker. Now things got interesting. I walked into an A-rank gate and stood in the boss room. The Flame Tyrant. A monster that had killed 6 S-rank parties in the last decade. It hit me with a column of fire that melted the stone floor into glass. I took 0 damage. It took 30% of its own attack back. The Flame Tyrant flinched. It hit me again. And again. And again. Each time, 0 for me, 30% back to it. The monster was killing itself on my body. I was the wall it couldn't stop punching. The Flame Tyrant died in 4 hours. It beat itself to death. I collected the loot. The gate collapsed. And I walked out to find a crowd of hunters staring at me like I was a ghost. Who cleared this gate? I did. Alone? Yes. What's your class? Shieldbearer. Silence. Then laughter. Yeah, right. What's your real class? I walked past them. I didn't need them to believe me. I just needed more time. Here's the thing about 200 years. People think it's a metaphor. It's not. I actually trained for 200 years. See, the world changed after the gates opened. Human lifespans extended. The stronger your stats, the slower you aged. A-rank heroes could live 300 years. S-rank heroes, 500. And me? With an endurance stat that was climbing past every known limit? I stopped aging at 25. My body simply decided it was done getting older. So I kept training. Year 20. Endurance, 5000. New skill, Fortress Body, immune to all status effects, poison, paralysis, sleep, petrification, bleed, burn, freeze. I walked through a poison swamp that killed an entire A-rank party. Took a nap in the middle of it. Woke up refreshed. Year 40. Endurance, 12,000. New skill, Gravity Anchor, the user cannot be moved, knocked back, lifted, or displaced by any force. A dragon tried to pick me up and drop me from 10,000 feet. It grabbed me, flew up, and couldn't lift me off the ground. I weighed exactly as much as I wanted to. Right now, I wanted to weigh more than a mountain. The dragon strained so hard it dislocated both shoulders. Then it collapsed next to me, whimpering. Sorry, I said. I genuinely felt bad. Year 70. Endurance, 30,000. New skill, Mirror Wall. 100% of all magical damage is reflected back to the caster. 100%. Every spell cast at me would hit the caster instead. Full damage. No reduction. An S-rank mage named Arcturus heard about me. He was the strongest offensive mage in the northern continent. He found me training in a mountain pass and told me my reputation was impossible. No Shieldbearer can survive an S-rank spell, he said. Your stats are faked. He cast Void Annihilation. His ultimate. The spell that erased an entire demon fortress in the last war. The air turned black. Reality cracked. The mountain behind me ceased to exist. I was standing in the same spot. Not a scratch. Arcturus staggered. Blood poured from his nose, his ears, his eyes. His own spell had bounced back into him at full force. He collapsed. I caught him before he hit the ground. I healed him with a potion. He looked up at me with the most confused expression I've ever seen on a human face. What are you? He whispered. A Shieldbearer. He became my first friend in 60 years. Year 100. Endurance, 75,000. New skill, Domain of Stillness. In a 500-meter radius, the user can nullify all damage dealt by any entity. Nothing can be destroyed within the domain. Nothing can die. I had become the opposite of a weapon. I was a sanctuary. A place where violence simply didn't work. I tested it. I walked into the Crimson Gate, the only SSS-rank permanent gate in the world. The one that had killed every hero who ever entered it. The demon god lived inside. The monster that the Hero Alliance had been planning a 100-person raid to attempt in the next decade. I walked in alone. The demon god hit me with everything. World-ending spells. Reality-warping attacks. Dimensional tears. Attacks that could unmake a continent. 0. 0. 0. 0. It raged for days. Weeks. It threw everything it had at a single human standing in the middle of its throne room with his hands in his pockets. Then it stopped. And it sat down. And for the first time in its 10,000-year existence, the demon god spoke to a human. Why can't I kill you? Because I spent 200 years making sure nothing could. What do you want? I want you to stop killing people. And if I refuse? Then I'll stand here. In your throne room. Forever. I have the time. The demon god stared at me. Seconds turned into minutes. Minutes into hours. Then it laughed. For the first time in its existence, the demon god laughed. Not a cruel laugh. A genuine one. Because for the first time, it had met something it couldn't defeat, and that something wasn't trying to defeat it back. You are the strangest hero I have ever encountered, it said. I get that a lot. The Crimson Gate closed that day. Not because I killed the demon god. Because I talked to it. Because nothing in my domain could be harmed, and inside that safety, even a monster could have a conversation. I walked out of the gate. The Hero Alliance was assembled outside. 300 S-rank heroes in full combat gear, ready for the raid they'd been planning for a decade. Commander Voss was at the front. The same man who'd expelled me from the academy 183 years ago. He was old now. His silver hair was white. His back was bent. But his eyes were the same. The gate, he said. It closed. What happened? I handled it. You handled the demon god. The SSS-rank catastrophe. Alone. I didn't kill it. I just stood there until it got tired. 300 heroes stared at me. None of them laughed. What's your class? Someone in the back asked. They hadn't recognized me. Of course they hadn't. I still looked 25. Everyone I knew from the academy was either dead or elderly. Shieldbearer, I said. Dead silence. Then Commander Voss did something I never expected. The man who'd expelled me. The man who told me I was wasting my potential. The strongest hero of his generation. He bowed. Not a nod. Not a slight dip. A full bow, hands at his sides, head down. The kind of bow you give to someone who outranks you so completely that any other gesture would be an insult. I was wrong, he said. I was wrong about everything. One by one, the 300 heroes behind him bowed too. It rippled through them like a wave. S-rank after S-rank after S-rank, bowing to the man they would have called a joke 2 centuries ago. But I didn't come here for respect. Respect is nice. Validation is nice. But that's not why I trained for 200 years. I trained because the world needed someone who couldn't be broken. Not someone who could break things. Not another sword. Not another spell. Not another weapon. A shield. The world needed a shield. And now it had one. Word spread fast. The Shieldbearer who soloed the Crimson Gate. The immortal F rank who tamed the demon god. The man who couldn't die. The Hero Alliance gave me a rank. They had to create a new one because I didn't fit their system. I was an S rank. I wasn't even SSS rank by their metrics. My attack power was still basically 0. My speed was average. My magic was non-existent. But my endurance was 150,000. My damage reflection hit harder than any offensive skill ever recorded. My domain of stillness could protect an entire city. And nothing in the known world could scratch me. They called me absolute rank. The first and only. A rank above SSS, created for a single person. The news hit every channel. Every city. Every guild hall. And then the invitations started. The Swordmaster Guild wanted me to join. The Arcane Council wanted me as an advisor. The Royal Guard wanted me as their captain. Every organization in the world that had spent 200 years ignoring me suddenly needed me on their team. I said no to all of them. Instead, I opened a school. A small building on the same street as my old storage closet dorm room. One classroom. One field. And a sign out front that said, Rook's Academy, all classes welcome. My first student was a girl named Yuki. 14 years old. Just awakened. Her class? Shieldbearer. She walked in with tears in her eyes. She'd been laughed out of her awakening ceremony. The other kids called her useless. Her parents told her to try a different career. She reminded me of someone. They told me my class is trash, she said. They said I can't do anything. I knelt down so I was eye level with her. They told me the same thing. 200 years ago. In this exact same city. What did you do? I proved them wrong. Every single one of them. How? I didn't quit. That's the whole secret. I didn't quit. She wiped her eyes. She squared her shoulders. She looked at me with the exact same stubbornness that I had when I was her age, bleeding on the floor of the examination hall. Teach me, she said. I smiled. Stand in that field. I'm going to throw things at you. What? Trust me. She stood in the field. I tossed a tennis ball at her. It bounced off her shoulder. Ow. Good. Now do it again. That's the training? That's the training. Year 1. She cried. Year 2. She stopped flinching. Year 3. The tennis balls bounced off her and she didn't feel them at all. The other students at the academy, the swordsmen and the mages and the assassins, they came to watch. Not to mock her. To stare. Because they could see it happening. They could see her endurance climbing past numbers that should be impossible for a student. Because I knew the path. I'd walked it for 200 years. And now I could teach someone else to walk it in a fraction of the time. On Yuki's 4th year, her system unlocked absolute barrier. She was 18. It had taken me 20 years to get that skill. She did it in 4, because she had something I never had. A teacher who believed in her class. She looked at the notification. Then she looked at me. Then she burst into tears again, but this time she was smiling. I got it. Sensei, I got it. I know. I'm proud of you. Is this what you felt? When you first unlocked it? I felt alone. You won't have to. The second student came the next week. Then 5 more. Then 20. Then 100. Kids who'd been told their class was worthless. Shieldbearers, guardians, sentinels, wardens. Every defense class the system had ever assigned. The rejects. The jokes. The ones the other academies didn't want. I took all of them. Within 10 years, Rook's Academy had produced 47 heroes with endurance over 1,000. 12 with absolute barrier. 3 with damage reflection. Numbers that should be impossible. The Hero Alliance started paying attention. The guilds started paying attention. The world started paying attention. Because my students were doing what I did. Walking into gates that nobody could clear and walking out alive. Not by fighting. By enduring. by being so impossibly durable that the monsters exhausted themselves. The meta was shifting. For 200 years, the world had worshipped attack power. Kill it before it kills you. Blast cannon builds. Maximum offense. Now they were watching a 14-year-old Shieldbearer tank an S-rank boss hit and yawn. The strongest hero in the world wasn't the one who could destroy the most. It was the one who simply refused to be destroyed. And that hero was training in army. One day, Arcturus came to visit. My old friend. The mage who'd tried to erase me with void annihilation. He was 240 now, still alive thanks to his S-rank lifespan, but slowing down. His hair was gray. His hands shook. He watched my students train. He watched them take hits that would kill an A-rank hero and shrug them off. He watched Yuki, now 22, spar with 3 S-rank swordsmen simultaneously and not move an inch while they exhausted themselves. "You've changed the world," he said. I just stood still. The world changed around me. He laughed. "You know, 200 years ago, when I tried to kill you with my strongest spell and it bounced back into my face, I thought I'd met a monster. And now I think I met the only sane person on the planet. Everyone else was so busy trying to be the strongest sword that nobody thought to be an unbreakable shield." He was quiet for a moment. Then he said something I'll never forget. "Rook. You know what the real irony is? In 200 years, you never once threw a punch. You never once swung a sword. You never once cast a spell. Your attack power is still basically zero. Yeah. And you're the strongest hero who ever lived." I looked at my students. At Yuki, standing in a field, catching boulders with her bare hands and grinning. At 100 kids who'd been told they were worthless, training to become unbreakable. "I'm not the strongest," I said. "I'm just the one who never stopped getting back up. And I never will. That's the secret. That's the only secret there ever was. Not talent. Not class. Not tier. Not rank. Not the build the internet tells you is optimal. Not the path that's easy or fast or respected. Just one thing, don't quit. Stand in the field. Take the hit. Get up. Do it again. And again. And again. For 200 years if you have to. Because one day, the whole world is going to run out of ways to knock you down. And on that day, you'll be the last one standing. And they'll finally understand